ಸುದೀಪ್ ಅವ್ರು ಏನಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗ ಮನೆಯೊಳಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ಡ್ ಗುಡ್ ಹಂಗಾರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ 8 ನಿಮಿಷ 8 ನಿಮಿಷ ಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ Good morning, students.
Good morning, ma'am.
Okay, how are you all? Hope you are doing well for internal examinations. Preparation is going on properly. Any problem or any topic which you have not understood, so that should be covered before I. Yes, students. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. The screen is also visible. You can see the PowerPoint.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, fine. So no problem, no difficulties regarding the subject. Any topic which need to be covered or stressed before I. Okay, no answer means I hope all of you have understood whatever topic are covered. and you know what to read for the internal examinations. Okay, right. So we have started with the mineral chapter and we have finished macro minerals, and yesterday only we have started with micro minerals, right? Today we'll see few more micro minerals. Those are copper, fluoride and iodine. Right? Iodine. So these three minerals today we'll cover. Fine. So yesterday we have seen which minerals we have covered. On Monday. Yes.
Zinc, sulfur,
Monday.
magnesium.
Zinc, sulfur and magnesium. Right. So today we'll focus on copper, fluoride and iodine. Right. So copper, it is again the important mineral and with large concentration as compared to the micro minerals. Among the micro minerals, copper is one of the important micro element. So its requirement less than 100 milligram per day, but its total throughout body concentration or how much quantity of this copper is present in the body, mainly in muscles, liver, bone marrow, brain, kidney, heart and hair is around 100 milligram. About 100 milligram throughout the body, its distribution is seen in muscles, liver, bone marrow, brain, kidney, heart and hair. What are the sources for this copper is shellfish, liver, kidney, meat, egg yolk and some legumes. These are the sources of copper. What is the recommended dietary allowances? 2 to 3 milligram per day requirement is there for copper. So, and that much can be fulfilled with the help of the diet which we take mainly through the legumes. Okay. But nowadays you might have observed that the RO plant is also with copper, and again copper vessels are there, and again the water pipes, mainly if they are of this copper, that time it may lead to the copper toxicity also if it is in excess. So that point should be seen and accordingly fulfilled requirement. This copper is important element because it is a constituent of various enzymes, number of enzymes, and these enzymes are necessary to carry out different reaction, and in that way it is involved to carry out many more functions. So we'll brief few among those. The first one is delta L synthase enzyme. So this enzyme you are seeing for which metabolism? Delta L synthase. Yes. It is involved in synthesis of heme, right? So succinyl CoA and glycine combine to form delta L in presence of the enzyme delta L synthase. So this delta L synthase, it constitutes copper and thus it is involved in heme synthesis. So you can correlate deficiency with the functions and accordingly you can remember. See, heme synthesis as a constituent, so obviously what it can do, its deficiency, it will lead to anemia. Like that you can correlate and you can remember and you can write both functions as well as deficiency manifestations. Clear? Now second function is it is essential constituent of many enzymes such as ceruloplasmin. All of you know that it is involved in transport of iron, right? So that enzyme is peroxidase. Cytochrome oxidase, again involved in energy transport or energy carrier system mechanism, that is electron transport chain. Superoxide dismutase, very important mineral which is involved in oxidation of free radicals so that it acts as an antioxidant also. Then dopamine beta hydroxylase, again epinephrine and norepinephrine metabolism. Tyrosinase, tyrosine metabolism, amino acid, that is aromatic amino acid. So tyrosinase enzyme, formation of melanin. So obviously it will hamper the melanin synthesis. Tryptophan dioxygenase enzyme, breakdown of tryptophan. Lysyl oxidase, again it is involved in amino acid metabolism. So in that way, copper as a constituent carries out various reactions with the help of different enzymes, and it is involved in controlling the metabolic activity. So next function is synthesis of melanin pigment as a constituent of tyrosinase enzyme. Plays an important role in iron absorption. Ceruloplasmin, major copper containing protein in plasma, has ferroxidase activity that oxidizes ferrous iron to ferric state before its binding to transferrin. So thus it is involved in transport of iron, and hence it plays important role in maintaining the normal hemoglobin level and thus to prevent anemia, right? Synthesis of collagen and elastin. This is the enzyme lysyl oxidase, which is very much important to form the collagen and elastin, which are the tissue proteins mainly necessary to heal the wounds, clot formation, and thus it has important role. So copper containing enzyme, this is lysyl oxidase, is a copper containing enzyme that converts lysine residues to allicin. So in that way it is involved in metabolism of which amino acid? Lysine amino acid, right? Lysine, leucine, isoleucine, you know, right? So these are the branched amino acid, right? So lysine residue is converted to allicin, and for that conversion this lysyl oxidase enzyme is necessary, and thus it involved in formation of collagen and elastin. Next, it is involved in development of bone and nervous system, because the myelin, it requires copper, and thus it is involved in nervous system, nerves functioning, right? Copper containing non-enzymatic proteins, different proteins, they are involved in various metabolism. Hepatocuprin, it is one of the protein which requires copper, but it is not the enzyme. Again, hemocuprin, this is also one more protein which is present in RBCs, and erythrocyprin, it is present in bone marrow. So different proteins present in liver, RBCs, bone marrows, they are necessary to carry out various reactions, and thus these are the copper containing non-enzymatic proteins. Certain copper-dependent proteins act as transcription factors for specific genes, hence regulation of gene expression and intracellular copper handling. Thus, genetics. So, it is involved in maintaining the normal mental conditions also, along with the physical state, proper psychological condition also. So how much amount of this copper is absorbed? Mainly 10% of the dietary copper is absorbed in the duodenum, and it is affected by different components such as metallothionein. It facilitates the absorption of the copper, while as phytate, zinc and molybdenum, it decreases the copper uptake. What is normal level of plasma copper? It is around 100 to 200 milligram per deciliter. Normal plasma level normal copper level in plasma is around 100 to 200 milligram per deciliter, and among this it is mainly bounded to the ceruloplasmin. Hence these both components are correlated. So whenever deficiency of copper, ceruloplasmin should be also investigated, and ceruloplasmin defects at that time, plasma copper level will be also investigated, because 90% of this copper is bound to the ceruloplasmin, and the normal concentration of this ceruloplasmin is 25 to 50. milligram per deciliter. So 6 to 8 atoms of copper per molecule are bounded to the ceruloplasmin. So 90% of this is bounded to ceruloplasmin. Which are the deficiency manifestation as it is involved in bone formation as well as formation of the collagen. So demineralization of bones takes place whenever the copper is deficient. So as demineralization takes place, it will lead to osteoporosis, various bone and joint abnormalities, and due to impairment in copper dependent cross linking of bone collagen and connective tissue. Demyelination of neural tissue also takes place because it is important component of the central nervous system. So, act in through forming the myelin sheaths. So, thus deficiency will lead to neutropenia also, as well as this neutropenia in this decreased number of neutrophils, and due to that it will lead to hypochromic anemia in early stage. This neutropenia is, it is an hematological disorder characterized by abnormally low number of neutrophil granulocytes and serve as the primary defense against infections by destroying bacteria in the blood. Due to that, it becomes susceptible to bacterial infections, and if it is not treated early, it may be the life-threatening one. So lower white blood cell counts is the first symptom to manifest in copper deficient babies due to their low immunity. So that's why estimation of this copper is very much important in newborn, in infants also. So decreased pigmentation of skin as it is involved in synthesis of myelin. So due to depressed copper dependent tyrosinase activity which is required for synthesis of melanin. Neurological abnormalities probably caused by depressed cytochrome oxidase activity, obviously, and myocardial fibrosis also may take place due to deficiency of this copper. Graying of hair, it is constituent of hair, so deficiency of copper in early years of the age or younger stage, it will lead to graying of hair. So these are the deficiency manifestations. Other than that, there are few inborn errors of copper metabolism due to genetic defect. Those are Menkes syndrome and Wilson's. So Menkes disease, it is also called as kinky hair disease because of its characteristic structure. The hair becomes curly or kinky. Instead of curly, the proper word is kinky. So similar to that curly hair. So kinky hair disease, it is called as. It is X-linked recessive disorder. 1 in 1 lakh live births. So it is little bit rare. It is not that common. It is X-linked mutated disorder. Typically occurs in male infants at the years of 2 to 3 months old. So genetic defect is in absorption of copper from the intestine. What is the genetic defect is absorption of copper from the intestine is defective, so it will lead to Menkes syndrome. What is the cause for that? Due to that, the serum copper, ceruloplasmin and liver copper content becomes low, so it will affect the various enzyme activity, and the conditions such as kinky or twisted or brittle hair. In this picture, you can see that 2 to 3 months old baby with the appearance of twisted brittle hair like steel color. So it is also called as steely. So kinky or twisted brittle hair due to loss of copper catalyzed disulfide bond formation. As myelin pigment, so depigmentation of skin and hair takes place. Mental retardation takes place. Hypotonia, you can see in this picture this muscle tone you can observe, right? So depigmentation of the skin and hair, mental retardation, hypotonia, seizures and failure to thrive. These are the clinical manifestations which takes place in this Menkes syndrome. Now the next inborn error of copper metabolism is Wilson's disease. It is rare inborn errors of metabolism, and the cause for that is abnormal copper metabolism. Wilson's disease occurs due to abnormal copper metabolism. So it is an autosomal recessive disorder in which excessive accumulation of copper occurs in tissues. It is autosomal recessive disorder in which excessive accumulation of copper occurs in the tissues. So it occurs 1 in 30,000 live births. Right? So this is about the Wilson's disease. But what is the cause for that? The cause is due to impairment in binding capacity of copper to ceruloplasmin. So as there is binding with the ceruloplasmin is impaired, obviously it will affect the inability of the liver to synthesize ceruloplasmin or both, and thus it will affect the transport of iron also. Right? So it will lead to inability of the liver to synthesize ceruloplasmin, and thus it will affect the activity of the ceruloplasmin and thus transport of iron also. And impairment in excretion of copper in bile, that is also one more cause. Due to that, it will lead to excess deposition of the copper, and thus these are the characteristics of this Wilson's disease. Which symptoms we can observe? Mainly typical symptoms of this. It will affect on different organs. It will affect on different organs, but the typical one is on eyes. That's why it is also called as Kayser-Fleischer rings. Right? So we'll see one by one. Accumulation of, this is about excess copper. Accumulation of copper in liver, brain, kidney and eyes, leading to copper toxicosis. Accumulation of copper in liver, brain, kidney and eyes, leading to copper toxicosis. So excessive deposition of copper in brain and liver leads to neurological symptoms and liver damage, leading to cirrhosis. So deposition of copper in brain and liver, that will lead to neurological symptoms, as well as in liver it will lead to cirrhosis. So brain neurological symptoms, and in liver it will lead to liver cirrhosis. So copper deposition in kidney leads to renal tubular damage, and when it will affect the eye, that is in cornea, form yellow or brown ring around the cornea. Yellow or brownish ring around the cornea is observed, and that is called as Kayser-Fleischer KF ring. The disease is also characterized by low levels of copper and ceruloplasmin in plasma, with increased excretion of copper in urine. So it will affect the brain, so it will lead to neurological symptoms. It will affect the liver, so damage of liver leads to liver cirrhosis. It will affect the kidney, that's why increased excretion of copper in urine, because it will damage the renal tubules. That's why it is not absorbed and it is excreted in urine. Then it will affect on cornea, forming the yellowish or brown colored ring around the cornea. So these are the various characteristics of this disease. So the inborn errors of copper metabolism are, one is Menkes syndrome or Menkes disease, and another one is Wilson's disease. These two are due to excess copper. Right? So copper toxicity also we can say. So how it can be treated? It can be by treated with the naturally occurring copper chelating agent. Naturally occurring copper chelating agent, that is penicillamine. So this penicillamine is necessary to remove the excess copper, and thus it can be used as a treatment in copper toxicity. Which one is used in copper toxicities? Penicillamine, which act as a naturally occurring copper chelating agent, as it gets chelated with the copper, and thus it can be removed through the body. Copper, right? So what is copper? 100 to 200 milligram. Then again its plasma level around 100 milligram, and then celluloplasmin level, and then different functions of the copper as a constituent of enzymes, as a constituent of proteins, right? And involved in various metabolism, and then its deficiency, and then its toxicity. So deficiency against melanin formation and all that you have to read, and then toxicity, two disorders, that is Menkes disease and Wilson's disease. Don't confuse in examination. We ask deficiency of copper also as well as excess copper also. The deficiency, when we ask, student answer it as Menkes disease, right? So it is excess copper. So accordingly you have to remember. Then next element is fluorine, right? So its concentration is very less in the body, and mainly it is present in bone and teeth, only bone and teeth. But still it is important, right? So it is a minor trace element, but pharmacologically beneficial trace element, present in the body mainly in bones and teeth. What are the sources? Mainly the drinking water is the source for fluorine. Other than that, seafoods mainly, that is sea fish, and tea also contains small amount of fluoride. So these are the sources. Dietary allowance, recommended dietary allowance 1.5 to 4 milligram per day, or 1 to 2 parts per million. ppm is parts per million. So 1 to 2 parts per million, that is the normal requirement of this dietary fluorine. So this fluorine concentration, as mainly the source is water, so it will depend upon the regions. Among that, in India, Andhra Pradesh, Punjab and Karnataka, these are the regions where the fluoride content in water is high. Fluoride content in water is high. So the people in this area, they may suffer from fluoride toxicity also. So it will lead to fluorosis, that we'll see in next slide. So depending upon the area, because water is the source, right, naturally occurring source, so it will affect the metabolism. What are the functions? Proper formation of bone and teeth. As it is involved in bone and teeth, so obviously mainly the deficiency as well as the toxicity, it is related to bone and teeth only. So in that way you can remember the functions and deficiency. So fluoride becomes incorporated into hydroxyapatite to form fluoroapatite, and all of you know that hydroxyapatite is necessary for forming the bone, right? So fluoroapatite increases hardness of bone and teeth. This fluoroapatite, it increases the hardness of bone and teeth, and thus forms protective layer of acid resistant fluoroapatite with hydroxyapatite of enamel. So what is the role of this fluoroapatite is the hydroxyapatite, which is formed with calcium, right? Salt of calcium, and it will combine with fluorine so that it will form fluoroapatite. And what this fluoroapatite is, it will provide the hardness. It will provide the hardness to bone and teeth, and due to that the layer becomes the protective to acid. So it becomes acid resistance with hydroxyapatite of enamel, and thus it protects against dental caries and attack by acids. It protects against dental caries and attack by acids. Other than that, one more important role is it inhibits certain enzymes. You have studied TCA cycle, right? As well as the glycolysis, carbohydrate metabolism. And even when we estimate the blood glucose level, right? So earlier, whenever the plasma was used for estimation, if serum is used, you no need of anticoagulant, but if you want plasma, you have to add the anticoagulant. So fluoride bulb was required. What was this fluoride bulb was? Sodium fluoride. Why it is necessary is it will inhibit the enolase activity. This enolase plays important role in conversion of enol pyruvate to pyruvate, and that is the last step of this glycolysis, and thus it will give the exact value of glucose before its breakdown to pyruvate, right? Then fluoroacetate, it will inhibit the aconitase enzyme which is in the TCA cycle, right? Citrate to aconitase enzyme, right? So the fluoroacetate will inhibit the enzyme activity of TCA cycle, that is aconitase. So as a component with sodium, so sodium fluoride, it will inhibit the enzyme of glycolysis, that is enolase. With fluoroacetate, it will inhibit the TCA cycle through aconitase enzyme. So these are all functions of fluorine. Now what are the deficiency manifestation? When the fluoride content is less than 0.5 parts per million. 0.5, 1 to 2 parts per million, that is normal. If it is less than 0.5 parts per million, it will lead to dental caries and osteoporosis. It will lead to dental caries and osteoporosis because it is necessary to provide the hardness to bone as well as to the teeth. Then if the level of this fluoride is more than 2 and mainly more than 5 is very much toxic, it should be treated early only, right? So excessive amount, that is more than 5 parts per million fluoride, is called as fluorosis. So fluorosis mainly of teeth, so it is also called as dental fluorosis. Teeth becomes rough with a pale yellow patch. In this picture you can see the pale yellow patch or discoloration of the teeth, right? So dull white, here you can see dull white, as well as it becomes weak also, and many times we call it as a chalk-like appearance of the teeth, right? So along with the teeth, mottling of the enamel also takes place, so that the enamel is very much sensitive to acids. So due to that, mottling of this enamel takes place. So this is about fluorosis. But if this situation is not treated properly, and it will lead to more worsened condition, that is, if the intake is more than 20 parts per million, it will be more toxic. Due to that, it will affect the bones, and that condition is called as a skeletal fluorosis. So pathological changes occurs in bones. As the fluoride content is more hypercalcification takes place. Due to that, it will lead to increased density of bones of limbs. Due to more hypercalcification, increased density of bones of limbs, as well as pelvis and spine, and neurological disturbances. So if the concentration of fluoride is more than 5 parts per million, it will lead to dental fluorosis, and if it is more, due to either the water or the food which contain fluoride is taken more, at that time more intake of this fluoride, as well as the toothpaste nowadays you might have seen, right? So fluoride containing toothpaste, so if it is used more, or its level will be more, that if it is more than 20 parts per million, it will be more toxic, and that will affect the bones. So pathological changes in bones takes place, and hence hypercalcification takes place. Due to that, increased density of bones of limbs, pelvis and spine takes place. Along with that, neurological disturbances also takes place. So if this condition still gets advanced, still gets advanced, or becomes chronic, and at that time the individuals cannot perform daily routine work also due to as the joints becomes stiff, right? So if this condition still becomes chronic, that is advanced stage of this fluorosis, in that condition the people will not be able to carry out their routine work also, picking up some things or movement of the hands and legs, because of the joints becomes stiff and the individuals start crippling, and that condition is called as genu valgum, right? What is genu valgum is the advanced stage of fluorosis in which the individuals cannot perform their daily routine work as their joints becomes stiff and they start crippling, right? So to treat this all, that means to remove the toxicity, right? To remove the toxicity or to prevent the toxicity of fluoride, so uh, we should avoid the fluoride content food, right? Other than that, if the fluoride content is less, means if they are suffering from deficiency, at that time fluoridation of water as well as fluoride content in toothpaste is advised to prevent dental caries in children, right? To prevent dental caries in children, what is advised is fluoridation of water as well as use of fluoride toothpaste. But as this can be the normal routine requirement can be fulfilled through the food which we are taking mainly by the drinking water, so that it is not necessary to add fluoride or intake of fluoride. So this fluoridation of water and use of fluoride toothpaste is still in controversy, but if we find such cases that the fluoride is low, then we can advise this. Otherwise it is not necessary also, but still in controversy, and accordingly mainly if the dental caries is more prompt one or more prominent one, at that time we can think about this fluoride level in the food and even in the person, and then it can be treated with this fluoridation of water as well as fluoride toothpaste. So that is the treatment part in deficiency, right? So here we have completed fluoride. So fluoride, dental caries, right? And then fluoride toxicity, genu valgum, skeletal fluorosis and dental fluorosis. So this you have to remember, second element. Now the third element is iodine. Again this is also one more important, and all of you know that mainly deficiency of this iodine, right? So that we'll see in detail. 80% of this iodine is mainly present in the thyroid gland, right? So what will be its role? Obviously in synthesis of thyroid hormones. Which are the thyroid hormones? T3, T4, TSH. Thyroxine, tetraiodothyronine and TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. T3 is thyroxine, or it is also called as triiodothyronine. T4 tetraiodothyronine, and the TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. So these hormones, they are present in thyroid gland and they require this iodine. The blood plasma contains about 4 to 8 microgram per deciliter of protein bound iodine, right? 4 to 8 microgram per 100 ml of this protein bound iodine, right? The iodine is present as a protein bound iodine and its concentration is 4 to 8 microgram per 100 ml. What are the sources? Seafood, drinking water, and the important one is iodized table salt, right? The salt, iodized salt, you might have seen in advertise also, right? The salt, iodized and without iodine, right? Both types of salt. So iodized table salt, then cereals, onions, and vegetables. These are the sources of iodine. What is the recommended dietary allowance? 100 to 150 milligram per day is required for adults. So fortification of table salt with iodine, due to that it can be fulfilled. So that much requirement can be fulfilled mainly with the table salt in itself, while as the other sources can also provide little concentration of this iodine. What are the functions? Functions: synthesis of thyroid hormone, and that is T3, T4, and also it will help to carry out the activity of TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. So deficiency of this iodine, it will lead to mainly the goiter, which is very much common. That's why I told all of you know about this goiter. So, in children, it is called as cretinism, while as in adults, it is the endemic goiter. So, what are the symptoms of these all? We'll see. Right? So, cretinism, it takes place in the babies due to severe iodine deficiency in mothers. Why it takes place in the babies is due to severe iodine deficiency in mothers. Due to that, it will lead to intrauterine or neonatal hypothyroidism. Intrauterine or neonatal hypothyroidism, which results in cretinism in their children. So, deficiency of this iodine is carried from the mother to the baby, either in the intrauterine stage or in the neonatal stage, and due to that the hypothyroidism results. And due to hypothyroidism, because the this gland, thyroid gland, mainly involved in development of the growth. So due to that, growth hormone, which plays important role, and that will be also affected. And cretinism is characterized by mental retardation, slow body development, that is nothing but growth retardation, and it will lead to further dwarfism, and it will have a characteristic facial structure. In this picture you can see the dwarfism, right? Dwarfism, characteristic facial structure, right? Lack of thyroxine from birth, that is one of the cause, or before birth also, that is in intrauterine stage. It could be from lack of thyroid gland secretion, that is T3, T4, TSH, or lack of iodine. So both causes are there, right? Either due to thyroid hormones or due to iodine. Again, iodine is necessary for thyroid, so iodine deficiency, thyroid deficiency means due to iodine also. So severe and irreparable mental defects, severe and irreparable mental defects are observed. Stunted growth can be also seen here in this picture. Reduced growth and function of many organs. So this picture properly depicts the symptoms or characteristic features of this cretinism, and this is due to iodine deficiency in mothers, which is carried to their babies. Goiter in adults, mainly goiter takes place in the adults. So enlarged thyroid gland with decreased thyroid hormone production. Here in this picture you can see that the enlarged thyroid gland, and due to that decreased thyroid hormone production takes place. So iodine deficiency in adults stimulates the proliferation of thyroid epithelial cells. Iodine deficiency in adults, it will stimulate the proliferation of thyroid epithelial cells. Due to that, it will result in decreased thyroid hormone production, and in the end results in enlargement of this thyroid gland. So what is the causes? It stimulates the proliferation of thyroid epithelial cells, and thus results in enlargement of this thyroid gland. Thyroid gland collects iodine from the blood and uses it to make thyroid hormones. Thyroid gland collects iodine from the blood and uses it to make thyroid harms. In iodine deficiency, thyroid gland undergoes compensatory enlargement in order to extract iodine from blood more efficiently. So iodine is deficient. So what thyroid gland it will do is it will help to extract the iodine from the blood. So the blood iodine level decreases. This is all about the iodine. So today we have covered copper, right? Next fluoride and next water, right? So deficiency of copper, yes. Students, have you started to prepare the table or not yet? You can unmute and you can answer. Yes. Hardly 9 people are attending the class. What others are doing? Yes. You can suggest if you don't on the classes before I, right? Actually, few more minerals I have prepared, but I have seen the attendance. So I will not proceed with few more micro minerals today. But you convey the message that the class really helps you to understand it better as well as to remember the things in better way. Okay, so all of you read properly, prepare the tables, how to remember, how to write, focus on what things. So for all minerals, you should remember functions, deficiency manifestation as well as toxicity. So disease state in short, deficiency and toxicity, that is disease state, clinical conditions and functions of these minerals. But few minerals can be asked as a long essay question such as calcium and iron. These can be asked as a long essay questions. There you should focus on all that is sources, daily requirement, absorption, normal blood level, what are its functions, right, and what are how it is absorbed, which constituents affect its absorption, either it increases or decreases. So accordingly you should read it properly, and that can be asked as a long essay question. So in the class only you will come to know which how the questions will be there in examination, and to focus what before the examination. But by that time you should read all, because you have to use that knowledge during your practice, right? That is very much important. The examination only is not important, but to understand or to practice it in better way, these all points matters a lot, so you have to focus accordingly. Clear? So those who are attending, any doubt you can ask me. I will not ask you the question because otherwise you will feel that we are attending the classes and ma'am is taking our class only, right? So it is not like that, but if you have doubts you can ask me.
No doubts.
No doubts. Okay. Again, functions of zinc. That question is also accordingly you prepare properly. Okay. Hope I am clear about these three micro minerals today which we have covered. That is copper, fluorine and iodine. Okay. We'll stop here.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Any doubts you can ask me later. Fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.